Hey, what is that? Oh my God, is this again? Oh my goodness. Welcome to the PHNX Rising Show, brought to you by the DraftKings
Ramon,
Sportsbook.
do your job. Let's go.
Oh my God, I'm trying. You can't be doing this all the time.
I heard I rattled you a little bit last week, so I figured I'd do it again this week. Cheers, fellas.
You did it again. Cheers. Welcome to the PHNX Rising Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I'm Ramon Chavez. Super happy to be here. We got Owen Evans in the house and taking it to the max, Max Simpson. How you guys doing today?
I'm still just repulsed by your shit, Ramon.
You love it. You're gonna learn to love it.
Same, man. I don't need to wear a Spurs kit. I know how we're gonna do tomorrow. It's easy. It's easy.
Harry Kane penalty kick.
Yep.
And then Tottenham loss. That's what
I already have the $5 side bet going that Harry Kane's next goal will not be a pen. Like, no way. He's due for a regular goal. We're fine. We're fine.
What do you call him, Owen? What do you call Harry Kane?
A penalty merchant, I believe.
Yeah. I think that's what he is. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Harry here early with the super chat. Thank you to Ramon, Owen, and Max for all you have done this season in covering the league and rising. Wow. Thank you so much for the $20. Harry. Always appreciate you being part of the chat here, making it lively. And I mean, I'm picking San Antonio to go all the way. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but great stuff to have you here, Harry. And Owen did not like that, but yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it.
Interesting pick. Interesting.
But yeah, guys, it's kind of like a weird show because rising season's over. Of course, USL's still going. We got the playoffs, but there's still a lot to talk about. It's going to be an interesting off season, if I say so myself, because it's going to be some decisions that are going to have to be made, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, guys, let's just jump into it and talk about what happened on Saturday. I had a really great time on Saturday. I think it was one of the games that I really enjoyed this season. Obviously it was the last game of the season. There was a send-off for Luis Sejas, but spending it with you guys and the rest of the fans, it was just an amazing time. So how are you guys feeling about Saturday's game?
It's looking back on it, the first half was not as good as it could have been from Rising's perspective. But there's a lot of things you've got to consider here. Number one is the fact, look, the energy in that building was a lot better than we've seen it for a while. I think there was just an understanding that, look, it had to be the send-off for Luis. It had to be a boisterous crowd, even in the conditions that it was in, where half the people who'd been ticketed didn't bother showing up because the weather was so atrocious. And for a lot of us, we were surprised, to be honest, to see that the game went ahead. And I just feel like that lifted the boys up, especially in the second half, and that ultimately made the difference. You saw Luis got his 2 assists, which is a great send-off for him. And hey, they get the win. Look, they made harder work of it than they should have, but still, there are positives to take, especially looking towards the off-season now and looking in towards the new season where you hope, okay, ride that momentum, get some good signings in. Some players, of course, are going to be replaced over this winter, and just see what you can build on from that under Juan's new system going into the new year.
Yeah, I mean, before I kind of get into the game a bit, I mean, shout out, like, Shout out the chat, shout out the fans. It was awesome seeing everyone in person and everyone saying, like Thomas was saying, everyone brought it, right? It was cool, like seeing a lot of people, from our show, like just absolutely still bringing it even after a tough season. Like met Thomas in person, met Michael in person. It was awesome to meet them. Maybe not as much after Michael's pretty comment right there, but anyway, no, man, it was cool. It was one of those games where it was kind of like with the rain, with the delay, with kind of like how the game played out, where it was like I said, it was 0-0 at halftime, and then it kind of opened up a bit. It was one of those games where it felt super eerie, and one of those, I can't really know how to put it, but it was kind of like just an eerie kind of game, and it was that atmosphere you can't really bottle. I think the rain had something to do with it, and just the energy was so palpable. And like, if you would have told someone who was just had no context of where the teams were and you were just watching that game as a neutral, you would have had no idea that Rising had nothing to play for and it was a down season for them. Honestly, like we get who the competition was and you have to caveat it a bit, but energy was great. And the fact that many people were there with everything that's gone on, and again with the elements, was fantastic. On the field, it's on the pitch itself. Yeah, the team played well, flowed really nicely, and I mean, I know we're going to get into it a bit more, but like, it was just a pleasure. If you're a Rising fan, like just a nice way to end the season.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
sorry, I'm seeing that. Man, freaking all right. You had to be there for my post game singing. By the way, I did Tom Jones actually a disservice by singing "What's New Pussycat." If you've never heard it, just know that it's quite difficult.
You
to sing karaoke when you're a couple
signs
deep.
I'm
just saying.
There's a video somewhere, so we might have to put it here on the show. But yeah, no, back to the game. It was great. I think sometimes we talk about the rain and how maybe that what's kind of kept some fans away, but I feel like that added a little bit more to the game. I know there wasn't really too much at stake, but end off for Luis Seijas and the fans just being there for one last time, and the stuff that's surrounding the stadium situation. I think everyone was just there to have a good time, and I think when you combine all those things, it just makes for a great atmosphere. And shout out to the Bandidos and the rest of the fans that made it a great night. And I think it was great though. Also, that Rising played the second half, playing towards the south end. Typically it's the other way around, and I think maybe that's that was a really good kind of thing because it kind of pushed them in the second half to get those goals and kind of get everything going. But as far as the play on the field, I liked it. I think we're seeing elements of what's to come next season as far as the flow of the forwards and the team overall. And one of the things that I keep seeing on the chats is that Rising needs to sign Gavi Torres for an extension. He's been fantastic in the games that he's been here, and I saw that he was combining with Santi Moore with the midfield, and he's just dangerous every time he gets the ball on his feet. So it's great to see, and I hope he comes back next season.
I will say, whenever people write out "re-sign," I always find it weird because if you leave them as just that one word with no like punctuation in there whatsoever, it just looks like you're saying "resign." In which case, you put "resign Bobby, re-sign Gabby" next to each other just for the fans, what they appear to be saying in the chat, and it's like these are the same thing but different. It's
words,
grammar, words, punctuation.
Yeah.
Only Owen
fluency.
PHNX Dictionary, the latest show.
Wordle with PHNX, but yeah, how'd you guys see the game on the field? I know it wasn't again there was nothing to play for. The Rising wasn't going to make the playoffs, but I like that. I like the fact that the players took it seriously and they were still trying to accomplish something at the end of the season. So Max and Owen, how is this something that we can look forward to? Do you see the players kind of buying into Juan's system more and more?
Yeah, I mean, like I think we've been saying the last couple of weeks, it's the entire season when he came in was, he's looking to build something for the future, but his immediate goal was let's try to salvage what we can and make the playoffs. And now that, once that was out the window, then you really got to see a bit of like, how can we keep building towards next season? The system is there. He just has to kind of figure out who's going to be those right people, who's going to carry over from this team, who can we add to kind of solidify some spots, and then go from there. But like, if this is the system we have to look forward to when, again, They started 7 guys who couldn't even drink 4 peaks because they're under the age of 21. So it's definitely have to caveat with that. But I mean, even against a fair, like, quality opponent, if this is what we can expect, where it's a lot of nice passing, a lot of interplay, a lot of like runs off the ball, this is something that we haven't seen consistently in a while. And if this is what the team looks like when they're confident, when they're able to take shots, when they're able to like dictate the flow of the game, heck yeah, it's possible. And like, I think this is something that's more sustainable than what we saw under Rick during the start of the season.
Yeah, I think the other thing to note there is that these things always take time. When you're establishing a new system, regardless, it takes time. But not only does it take time, it also tends to require a manager to be able to put their own imprint on the squad, to bring in those handful of players that are going to fit this system perfectly. I think what we've seen is that Gabby Torres tends to fit this system pretty well. He's shown it by the fact that he scored 3 goals in his first 4 games for this team. So there's one move. You'd imagine you're going to see another few moves of a similar kind of ilk, whereby these are going to be players that are very much going to be system guys that are going to fit it perfectly. To me, that's all positive. I think that hopefully now, come the start of next season, we're going to see a side that is executing exactly what Juan wants much, much more consistently.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see. And I think it kind of provides a little bit of hope, at the end of this tumultuous season, we'll call it, because it hasn't been pretty. But yeah, looking forward to that. And the offseason is going to happen quick. It's January, February. That's when the preseason starts, and then March right back at it. So there's not a lot of time between, the end of the season and 2023. So we'll take a look at what happens then. All right, y'all, let's take a quick break and talk about our friends at DraftKings. I do want to talk about the odds tomorrow for the Man U Tottenham game, but if you guys are into basketball, today is the start of the new NBA season, and new customers can make any $5 bet on NBA money on the NBA today, and whenever you do make a bet, you get $200 if your team wins. So pretty great promotion here from DraftKings. Again, $5 on any NBA team and their money line, and you can get $200 if your team wins. And you can also boost your winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped up same game parlay. So it's super simple, guys. Make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use promo code PHNX, and make that money, y'all. And remember, minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply, and make sure to check out the show notes for more details. All right, I got the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Speaking of that, yeah, might as well just point out there is a profit boost offer at the moment for the Premier League on DraftKings. So if you go out there with some parlays for these midweek games, you can get a stepped up parlay on those games as well. So hop on there, you can get an odds boost. The more legs you add, the higher the odds go up. So
should be fun. Yeah, make sure to jump into this, because there's a chance to make some good money. And then obviously, since we're talking Man U Tottenham, let's go over the money lines really quick. So we got Man U plus 145, a draw plus 255, and then Tottenham plus 185. So regardless what you pick, pretty much make some money. So
regardless of what you pick, Harry Kane's going to score a penalty tomorrow.
Okay, so anyway, completely ignoring that, I'm building out a little same game parlay for this game. And let's say, because you're a smart bettor like myself, if you want to put down Tottenham money line, so them winning outright, plus Harry Kane, a first goal scorer, and because Harry Kane's just in dominant form, not going to score any pens, he's actually going to score 2 or more. So if you have the Tottenham money line, Harry Kane first goal scorer, and Harry Kane to score 2 or more, that's a plus 1,700. You put down $5. You win $90. So
you mean to tell me that VAR?
Right now, so I just got some money. It's gonna happen. It's guaranteed.
You mean to tell me that VAR is going to give Tottenham 2 penalties tomorrow?
I'm telling you that he's not gonna score the next goal as a penalty. That's all I'll say.
Oh man, Michael's hurt right here in the chat. He says if Cristiano starts up front, go with the under. It hasn't been pretty this season.
Oh, that's a fact. Well, if they know what they're doing and it's Man U, so they don't, they probably will start him up top.
And he's struggling, man.
Did you see how he's looked so disappointed when he got subbed out in the 75th minute against Newcastle? It was, oh man, it was going. I love Ronaldo from like the Real Madrid days, I do, but man, that guy is,
yeah.
What's the word? Washed? Yeah, he's washed.
I wouldn't call him that. It's just, I don't want to go on a rant here about Man U, but I feel like he needs a little bit more help. Ericsson wasn't playing. There wasn't that creator in the midfield, and we have someone like Newcastle that was just sitting back. It's tough for Man U to break him down. So there's hope, Ronaldo. Make it another year, hopefully. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. So, but yeah, make sure to download DraftKings Sportsbook app and to make your bets. All right, y'all. Owen, you want to run us down through what's going on this weekend with the USL playoffs?
We're looking at the playoffs, are we? Let's take a look, because obviously we'd normally be getting excited now. We're not getting excited. But we're going to pretend for the next 20 minutes or so that we are excited. Let's go. Right, so should we kind of piece together our own little brackets here? I'm going to talk us through each of the games. Let's have a bit of an argument. Let's start in the West. So the first quarterfinal on here was actually going to be the last conference quarterfinal, but we'll start there. Number 2 seed San Diego Loyal hosting number 7 Oakland Roots.
That one's going to be an interesting one. I feel like San Diego has shown consistency throughout the year, but Oakland's got that heart, man. I don't know. It's something they've proven during the last 10 games that they can be dangerous, and they beat them, after Juan Guerra left. So I think they kind of have a little bit of a blueprint on how to do it. So it's gonna be tough.
You know what? I'll follow that up actually, just by pointing out that San Diego and Oakland have met 6 times, and San Diego have won only one of those games. In that same spell, Oakland have won multiple games at Torero Stadium.
There you go. Chat's saying Oakland. What do you think,
I'm saying Oakland.
Man, you know what? I'll rock the boat. I think it's Loyal. I mean, just the way that, Oakland, I think, is a dangerous team in the fact that they're 7. I think it speaks to just how loaded the Western Conference is, maybe less about how maybe they haven't had the best run of form in certain parts of the season. But I mean, when it all comes said and done, like, Loyal have been relatively consistent throughout this year. And I mean, just the way they play, I don't know, it's just dangerous, especially at home. I mean, I don't want to overthink this one. Give me Loyal.
So Ramon, who did you vote for?
I wouldn't be surprised if Oakland wins, but I think I'm taking Loyal at home.
Boo. Well, all right. Well, San Diego wins the vote, unfortunately. Right. We'll move on. Colorado Springs Switchbacks, the 3 seed. They're hosting RGV Toros, the 6 seed.
Give me RGV. Lock it in.
I'm thinking RGV as well here. Colorado Springs are struggling for form lately. They, of course, don't have Haji Barry. RGV have been in the opposite direction, trending up.
Yeah, same. Give me RGV. The way they're pressing and just their form of late. That high intensity is perfect for this type of knockout tournament. Like 100%. Love them.
All right. So then that's RGV going in ahead of Colorado Springs. And the final conference quarterfinal, Sacramento Republic, the 4 seed, hosting New Mexico United, the 5 seed. Here's the thing, to me, that last game was a close one, Colorado Springs RGV. I think RGV will do it, but it's a tight one. It's an upset. To me, Sacramento are in the right kind of form. You look at their win over San Diego. New Mexico tends to cool off towards the end of the year. I'm taking Sac in this game.
I'm taking Sacramento. They went to the final of the U.S. Open Cup for a reason. They like these games where it's a do or die situation. They have the squad. They've shown it. They've basically played those games the entire season. So, and especially at home, Sacramento can take this one. And I don't trust New Mexico's offense too much. So Sacramento it is.
I'm also going to triple down and go with Sac as well. I mean, to your point, Ramon, yeah, they've already kind of dealt with this throughout the season, and even if you take the Open Cup aside, just seeing how the way they play and just their style, I think it matches up well, kind of contrasts a bit to New Mexico, how they play. So yeah, I like Sac on this one.
All right, so we'll move on to the remaining games in the West. We might as well, let's fill out this bracket. It's a democratic process, unfortunately, so Oakland didn't get through there, but that does mean that RGV would play San Antonio in the conference semifinals on mine. Who are we taking there? I know, Ramon, you said you got San Antonio to win it all. So I know who you're going for, but Max, who would you take out of those two?
This is a weirdly tough one. Oh gosh, Harry, I'm sorry, don't hate me. I'm gonna go with RGV. I think the fact that they've shown, even if they're not going to be necessarily on a short week, but the fact that San Antonio, I don't like how teams get a bye. I don't think that helps them. I want to keep rolling in strong with a lot of momentum, and that's exactly what RGV has been doing. They've gotten hot at the right time. They win this first round. I like them to go into San Antonio, play with that high press, especially for a team that hasn't played a competitive game in a couple weeks. They're going to be hit with that, and I think they're going to be rattled, and they're not going to be able to get up to pace as quickly. So yeah, give me RGV on that one.
I kind of want to chime in on that. I agree with Max as far as the fact that taking that week off really kind of stumps your momentum a little bit as a team, especially because you're used to playing every 6, 7, 8 days. And so if you take that week off, and the way RGV are going, I can kind of see an upset on that side. But I think San Antonio just has a great defense, and I think they can pull it off. But RGV is dangerous, man. That's a dark horse I would pick in the Western Conference.
They are, and it's Jonas Fjällberg being playoff eligible this year that really kind of changes the game a little bit. Look, I will say, though, I don't think RGV are going to roll over, but I'm going to take San Antonio in this game. I feel as though there's too much quality there for them to crash out at the first opportunity. Now, of course, we say that about Rising every year, and they somehow seem to awkwardly disappoint all the time. So, Harry, I'm sorry, we've just cursed San Antonio for you, but
we already got $20 super chat. We're fine. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm taking San Antonio in the conference semi-final, so they will move on to the conference final. Because Ramon, you also took San Antonio, didn't you? I'm remembering this correctly.
I'm picking San Antonio to go all the way.
All right. The other quarterfinal then would be San Diego Loyal hosting Sacramento Republic. Rematch of a game that we had just a couple of days ago.
Sacramento. Like I said, they got that U.S. Open Cup experience. They know how to, win their games. They know how to play with when it slows down, kind of that playoff atmosphere. So I think they got the experience. They got the talent. They're going to do it.
Owen, what about you?
I actually agree. I feel as though Sacramento as a team are just well adapted to knockout football. People come out and say things like boring Briggs, but it can be effective in one-off games. It can be very effective in one-off games. And to me, that's why I think there's enough about Sacramento. They're perhaps a little bit smarter on times. I mean, I get the feeling as well, and I'll say this, I don't think that Landon is always the most present of coaches as well. Let's put it that way. So people will always point to Landon Donovan and say, well, great player. Of course he must be. How can we talk about experience with the other side? But Landon, I think his head sometimes is just elsewhere. And when it's not elsewhere, it's shouting at the fourth official. So I get the feeling that one's Sacra edging it for me. Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, I see Pat's comment in there that when he's not shouting out officials, he'll be prepping for his World Cup commentating. Give me Sac as well. I mean, they beat the pants off them a couple days ago, and I mean, it's different circumstances. I get they also would be away in this match, but yeah, I mean, like, kind of go what we're all saying. I like Sac's just kind of Sac's run of form and just how they kind of match up with them. So yeah, give me Sac.
All right, so that pulls us through to the Western Conference Final, which we've got here taking place in San Antonio. Sacramento Republic facing San Antonio FC. I'm claiming last place in this one to pick last. So boys, you fight it out first, please.
Yeah, San Antonio for me, I think they've shown it against the entire season except Rising that they can pretty much hang with anybody. And again, I trust Jordan Farr and that defense. I think that's the key for them. If they can continue playing the way that they have and their offense kind of catches up a little bit, they'll be fine to get to the final at least.
Well, I did pick San Antonio to lose to RGV, but in this hypothetical of hypotheticals, if they are indeed going to win against RGV, I will pick them to also beat, to actually win this matchup as well and make it on to the USL Championship. I don't know if that's hypocritical or whatever, but who cares? It's our show. We can do what we want. I like San Antonio in this matchup. I mean, they are first for a reason. Don't overthink it. If they're able to shake off that 1 week bye and keep on continuing with their form, they were vastly dominant throughout the season for good reason. I mean, to their point, they are pretty solid defensively, and I don't know. I think there have been times where we watch SAC and I don't want to say they're missing the final ball, but their creativity does lack at times. And you can't really afford to do that against San Antonio. So yeah, give me San Antonio on this one.
I'm not. I'm going to take Sacramento. I'll tell you why. These sides, actually, this is the intriguing thing. It has been decided this year, each time these two teams have met each other, by a solitary goal in a 1-0 game. Each side picked one up. They both won at home. So you could say San Antonio, great, they should do it. San Antonio can't seem to keep 11 men on the pitch against Sacramento Republic. They have had a player sent off in both games. Yeah. So yeah, I'm picking Sac here. I think they've had their run at the final in the Open Cup. They've somehow managed to come out of it not being too, quite frankly, killed off by it, which is something that certain managers will have had you believe that, you can't go on a run to the Open Cup final. And even if you did, you'd be exhausted. It would completely destroy how they haven't come off that way. I think they've come off more resilient. I think this is a team that knows how to get the job done in those one-off game situations. And more importantly, how can we have a Western Conference finalist that this Phoenix Rising team beat twice? Make it make sense. Sacramento for me. But it's a democracy, so San Antonio won that one. Right.
Oh, and
so
before we move on,
yeah.
Can we all agree here that those were the best two teams in the Western Conference, Sacramento and San Antonio?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't be surprising
I think
to that spot.
Right. We move on. Let's look at the East. Welcome to the area that many of you may not be too familiar with. We'll start with the one that in theory should be the easiest to predict. Number 2 seed Memphis hosting number 7 seed Detroit City. What are you taking, boys?
I'm gonna go with Memphis on this one. I think especially at home, Memphis has shown that they're a very capable team, and even though Detroit's kind of in their first season and they're gonna have some momentum, with them, I think Memphis is just too good of a team to lose to someone like Detroit. So they'll take it at home.
Well, at a point in time, I was a part owner of Detroit City SC. But let's not let that cloud my judgment. No, give me Memphis. It's
a lot of Detroit on the chat. Look at that.
I know. No, give me Memphis. They've been good at home. Not overthink it. I'll go with you, Ramon. Retweet, as the kids say.
Also, they announced the new stadium as well for 2025. A little heads up. I like that they're
nice looking renderings there, and we'll have to see how that shows out. But hey, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you in Memphis, but I will say that this actually, if you were a Phoenix Rising fan, could be an interesting one. We've got some Phoenix Rising connections there. We've had some, weirdly enough, it's Phoenix Rising and Colorado Rapids connections there. One player on each side. Declan Wynn has proven to be a pretty big player for Detroit. He's a very two-way player and really helps him out wide. And then, of course, you got Jeremy Kelly, who has been really an important part of the attack for Memphis 901 this season. We touched on it a lot before Rising went away to Memphis to play them, that, wow, this guy looks like a different player to what we saw here in Phoenix last year. So I think he's going to be an interesting one for Rising fans looking at both sides in that game. But yeah, I'm taking Memphis. I feel as though they've put in too good a season overall to crash out at the first hurdle. We'll have to, especially against the Detroit side that have been, quite frankly, the East has been incredibly average outside of the top teams.
Yeah, they do have a lot of injuries in the back line too, so it's not going to help them at all.
And they don't have much depth. They really don't have the depth there. And that's something that actually with Detroit will harm them if they end up in extra time, going the distance. It's tough, and especially at the end of a long season, it's tough. But let's move on to the next game because we've already picked Memphis there. The number 3 seed Tampa Bay Rowdies hosting the number 6 seed Miami, the Miami FC.
Oh my God.
The Miami FC. The.
I think Miami beat them early on in the season, but I think Tampa Bay is kind of rounded out into form, so I don't think they should have too much trouble with this. Tampa Bay is one of the best teams in the East, and like you're saying, it's an average East, but I think they should be able to take care of it at home. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 1-0 though, just the way that Tampa Bay play, and Miami's been playing lately, so that's what I would go with.
So if you look at Tampa Bay's run of form, they have won their last 4. And so if you kind of look at first glance, you're thinking, okay, easy, especially with, oh gosh, if I'm doing my math correctly, they've scored 13 in their last 4. It's quite a lot. They played Loudoun United. They've played New York Red Bulls 2. They had a close one against Monterey Bay, and okay, they did pretty well against El Paso. All this to say, I think it will be a close match. I think that there's a lot of distractions within that locker room for lots of different reasons. And maybe, call it we played spoiler. I'm going to go with Miami on this one.
Wow. I didn't even think about that, Max. Good point.
I considered going with Miami, but I am going to take Tampa Bay here. But I will say this. If you want a warning, this is the warning. We saw New York Red Bulls 2. We saw what they were capable of. Tampa Bay Rowdies at home managed to put 1 goal past them.
Yep.
If you play like that, if you play that wastefully, they had 21 shots, 11 on target. They scored 1 at home to the Baby Bulls. You play that wastefully in the playoff game against Miami FC, you're done. You're done. You are not going past Miami if that's the kind of performance you put up in front of goal on Saturday. So I think Tampa Bay will edge it just because, as we've said, look, you look at some of the guys they got, Leo Fernandez, Seba Gonzati, they are very good players. There's a reason this side made it to the final last year, even if they were ultimately humiliated at home by Orange County, who I'm still not quite sure why that happened. From what I gather, it was effectively that they just knew that they were going to play off Ronaldo Damas in the way that they did. And then after the first goal, they didn't adjust whatsoever. So Ronaldo Damas got a second. But I'm still taking Tampa in this first round. I think they will just about see off Miami. Closer game than you'd hope. But again, there's still danger bells there. If they're not paying attention enough, stuff could go very, very badly wrong. But that brings us to our final Eastern Conference quarterfinal, which is Birmingham Legion against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
It's going to sound really bad, but I want Pittsburgh to succeed just because I really love their stadium. So that I'm taking them over Birmingham. And we've seen Birmingham. They played against Rising earlier in the season. They're a capable team, but my little upset will be Pittsburgh.
Have we reached the I bet by color stage of this? I like this stadium, so I'm picking Pittsburgh.
I love their stadium, man. What can I say? It's next to the river.
Any more evidence that you needed that the East is a simulation is the fact that Ramon is here just like, I just pick them on stadium. I don't know. The East ain't real.
I actually prefer to pick off of Team Crest, so I'm going with Birmingham Legion. No, but like it's actually if you like. Okay. If you look at these teams just like from the geographical area and you compare them to American football, this would be a slobber knocker of a soccer match. Like my word, I love it. But yeah, give me Legion in this one.
You know what? Wasn't this game supposed to happen last year? This was a postseason game last year that was called off because Pittsburgh had COVID right before the game. They had to call that playoff game off. And it's a rematch, effectively, of the match that never happened. I'm just really intrigued by this one. To me, this one is too close to call in a lot of ways. Of course, I'm going to have to actually call something. Tell you what, let's go with the weird one here for the decision. In the last few weeks, both of these sides played Oakland. One of them managed to beat them. One of them lost to them. I'm going with Pittsburgh. They beat Oakland. So Pittsburgh Riverhounds it is. But that one's close. That one's really close.
This one out of all of them is the tightest one. Harry here says Halloween party COVID rematch.
Halloween party COVID rematch. Good stuff. Right. That moves us to the conference semifinals. So we just mentioned Pittsburgh. They would be, in this scenario, the lowest ranked team to go through, which means they face the toughest game in the next round. They have to travel away to number 1 seeded Loose City.
Loose City. I think they're the ones making it out of the East. So, yeah.
You're just one of these guys who goes, "Oh, I want the number 1 seeds. I don't need to think about it. I'm not even going to pick upsets. I'm just picking the number 1 seeds."
Okay.
You know how often this happens?
That's true.
It doesn't.
Rarely, yeah. I know. I understand. I know what I'm getting into.
Oh my gosh. Apology. I'm going to be honest. I didn't catch who's playing Lou City on this one.
Pittsburgh.
It is Pittsburgh. Okay, that's what I thought. Man, no, I mean, kind of going back to my logic when I didn't pick San Antonio, I don't like teams resting. And again, like Louisville's dealing with a lot of like off-field drama. That giving time to think about it, be with your thoughts on that one. That's I just don't like that recipe. And I mean, even if you call it what it is, if you stick strictly just to what's happening on pitch, you never know what happens. I don't like them resting though that week. So give me Pittsburgh.
Wow. You know what, Ramon? I'm sorry, we're going to outvote you here.
Go for it.
And the reason being, I think
made it that far.
I wouldn't be shocked. It's a Bob Lilly team. Bob Lilly's the old head who's been around this level for God knows how long. Look, at the end of the day, we've been speaking about the whole. How's the week off going to impact people? I tend to agree with Max. I think it'll impact Louisville more than it will impact San Antonio because of all the off-field stuff. And I also think that it's something that's going to... When you're going into a playoff game at home, you want that big, huge crowd behind you. But there's so much flying around at the moment in Louisville that so much just discontent at the way that their club is set up, the people that are involved in their club after the result of the Yates report came through, that I personally don't think they're going to get the atmosphere they want to push through in a home playoff game. And that's why, to me, it's a real risk there for an upset, I think. I don't think Loose City are going to have it easy. The other thing, and this is, I keep talking about all these bad reasons for things. I'm going to say this one. Surely the streak has to come to an end at some point. Loose City can't make every Eastern Conference final. It has to end at some point, right? I just feel as though with everything that's going on there and the week off to think about it, I think that they're a prime candidate to get knocked off.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trap. I think, yeah, having that week off and all the off the field issues. Yeah, I could see it, but I don't know if Pittsburgh's that team to take down Louisville. But I mean, surprising. We'll see.
Who knows? The East is a simulation. It's not real, so anything could happen.
It is. I see Harry's comment about here's the counter to Max. How many upsets do we see in round 1 under the previous playoff system? That's totally fair. I will give you 2 points. Number 1, keyword is previous. Definitely kind of different in the scenario here and how things play out. But also the second, and this doesn't really land on logic in any way other than our producer, Sean DePaz, I will quote him by saying, they're due. And that's all the logic I need, which is none of it.
That'll do. Right, we'll move on then to the other Eastern Conference semifinal. Memphis 901 against Tampa Bay Rowdies. This would be a good game. I'd be really intrigued to see this. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'd actually love, and I know this isn't how our predictions have gone. I would love a Memphis Louisville final for the Eastern Conference, just because those games have been crazy every time they've happened. Yeah. Multiple red cards in every game. And the away team wins each time. Yeah, but just imagine that. Multiple red cards, the away team. It's a really bizarre one, but okay. Back to the question at hand before we get too sidetracked. Memphis against Tampa Bay. Who are we taking?
I'm gonna go with Memphis. I think they've proved that they're a good team, and I'm not giving too much credit to Tampa Bay, especially with all the stuff surrounding the team. I think at this point I would take that, especially with that Memphis team being as good as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pick Tampa Bay to win in the first one, and I'm not going to pick them this one. I'll also go with Memphis on this one.
I think we got a clean sweep coming here because I'm also going to take Memphis. I still feel as though Tampa Bay, they've still got a bit of a... It's a weird one. You never know how a team's going to react to what happened there recently. And I'm not saying that in any one way or another. You just never know how they're going to react. They don't appear to have been fired up at all based on how they played against Red Bulls too. So I don't know. I feel as though that's awkwardly hanging over. Players are frustrated. It's going to be a weird one. I'm taking Memphis 901 right there. So that leaves us to the final, the USL Championship Playoff Final on November the 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern. San Antonio FC against Memphis 901.
Man, that's going to be a really nice game. Now I'm like rethinking my San Antonio pick because if Memphis gets that far and they're playing well, I could definitely see them taking down San Antonio. But I know Harry's going to kill me in the chat. But yeah, I would take Memphis at that point. I'm just going to say it. I'll switch my pick if Memphis is the one that gets to the final.
He's taking Memphis.
Oh, I just want to make it difficult.
Remember, the game will be played in San Antonio if it happens.
Yep. I'm going to make a difficult decision for Owen. I will pick San Antonio.
You want me to get... Okay. Okay.
Well, Harry here says that they don't have enough depth. I think they just have a lot of offensive firepower, though. You know, Philip Goodrum.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing about like the playoffs, which is so fascinating, is like offense can be the differentiator, but like you don't need it. Like it doesn't, these matches we've seen, it does not come down to it. Like we don't see as many high scoring affairs as we are thinking in the regular season. People play way more hesitant, way more cagey, way more defensive.
That's why a one goal, when you've got those talented forwards that can just pick up the one goal early and suddenly the other team's game plan's out the window entirely.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Michael, LAFC Galaxy, we do not care. MLS can go somewhere else. This is a USL Championship area. But you know what I'm going to say? We're going to pick the cop-out one here. The two of you are unsure because you're going each way. I'm going to say I'm not going to pick a winner, but it's going to go to 12 yards out.
Ooh, penalty. That'd be fun. I want to see that.
Wait,
penalties for the USL Championship title. That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying.
That's the entire point of what we're doing. I mean, cool, you pick pens, pick a winner.
We said it's going to penalties, and I'm leaving it at that. Coin toss at that point.
Boo this man in the chat. Boo him.
I got the coin. Give me a second.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God. Don't want to know.
So we're going to penalties.
Oh.
I need to decide. Who gets heads? Who gets heads? Who's giving it heads?
Give me Memphis with the head.
You're taking heads on Memphis around. So that means tails, Max, for San Antonio.
Known as ref flip with the coin. There you go.
What do we have here?
Just switched it. I saw it.
I think I'll switch it. It's tails.
Landing.
It's tails.
Oh, there you go. San Antonio taking it.
San Antonio to take it on penalties. So, there you go. That's the definitive PHNX Rising predictions. Maybe I'll post these on Twitter later so we can get some hate, But
yeah, so that's PHNX Rising picks San Antonio to pick to win the USL Championship final. So
over Memphis 901.
Should be fun. I hope there's some upsets. Just and I'll now that we're talking about LAFC and stuff. I watched some of the MLS games yesterday.
We're not talking about this, Ramon. No.
It's a good thing for USL. I'm just saying that they were really dragged out. They were kind of boring in my opinion. So hopefully there's some fireworks in the USL playoffs.
MLS is done. USL Championship is where it's at.
Oh man! All right, y'all. Let's talk about our friends at OG's Brands. I know I need some rest after that long season. And I know Max is a big fan of the THC gummies that just came out, the Sleep Edition gummies that OG's Brands just came out with. And you don't want to sleep on these for sure because they're not only the aquaberry flavors, which is really nice, but they also have a 2-to-1 THC to CBN ratio. Put you right to sleep, get you that 8 hours that you need, get up the next day, and you're good as new. So definitely check those out. I'm going to be in the office pretty soon, so I'm hoping to score some of these Sleep Edition gummies.
A few of us could be in the office pretty soon.
That is true. So if you guys want to get your very own Sleep Edition from OG's, make sure to go to ogsbrands.com. You can purchase them there, and also follow them on Instagram as well. They do some great content at OG's Brands, and you can also find their products at your local dispensary. So make sure to check out our friends at OG's Brands, and remember, you must be 21 years or older to purchase.
Also, by the way, I know we've often been talking about their sleep edition because I know it's kind of new. It's still the thing, which is awesome, and like definitely should check it out. But keep in mind, our Flavoring Life sweepstakes is like always a thing. It's always in our show notes where you can like actually, boom. Producer Sean is absolutely on it. But it's still it's in the link in our show notes, the link in the description. You can always enter, and if you look at my hat, this is actually one of like the hats that you can win. They're coming out with a lot of new merch. Plus, inside this month's winnings of the Flavoring Life sweepstakes is the Sleep Edition gummy. So if you want to give it a shot, enter to win in the show notes or the description.
Yeah, we haven't seen that promo in a minute. Good to see Derek one more time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Owen, we got some pretty big news for our Thursday show. Do you want to introduce?
We do have some pretty big news. Drum roll, and we got a graphic to come up as well. Get the drum roll. Let's spit the graphic up there, Sean. We've got an interview coming on Thursday. Phoenix Rising head coach Juan Guerra will be joining us in the studio.
Live.
We've got a lot to talk about live in studio. So make sure to tune in for that one. And you know what? If you've got some questions, feel free to tweet them at us. PHNX__rising. It's double the underscores, double the fun. Or you can shoot them to us on Discord if you're on there. Let us know what you're thinking. And yeah, we'll see you guys on Thursday for that one.
We're stepping up. We're getting promoted. We're going to the bigger studio for Thursdays. Show. It's gonna
we're taking the big studio.
The big boy studio. Oh yeah.
I've heard those chairs are really comfortable. Never got to sit on them, but
oh my gosh, thanks to our friends at More Furniture. Nice tie-in. But yeah, it's freaking sweet, man. Yeah, please like tune in. Tell your friends, tell your friends, tell your grandma, your kids, your mom, wife, husband, everyone. Come on, come all.
There you go. Nice. I'll tell you guys that are watching a little quick one story. I got to speak to him for the first time on Saturday. He caught me off guard right as he's going to the post-game press conference, and he starts throwing all this Spanish at me. And yeah, I speak Spanish, but you know, when you speak two languages, you kind of switch off your brain once in a while because you're used to just speaking one language, right? But he just came up with the Spanish and was like, "Nice to meet you, ¿cómo estás?" And I was like, like I was just stuttering more than I usually do. And yeah, great guy, awesome. You know, that he knows me, you know, because he actually watches the show as well. But yeah, great. I'm really looking forward to seeing him on Thursday and ask him some good questions.
Do you think? And maybe this, I'm not trying to ask too much. I totally respect his decision. He's a very athletic, in shape individual, even for a manager. But do you think he would partake in joining us in a Four Peaks beer, perhaps?
We'll have to see.
So.
Feel free to pass your judgment in the chat. We'll see what happens.
We have plenty of choices when he gets here in the office fridge. So very excited.
Don't go saying too much now and get Phoenix Rising to call this interview off. You know,
it's a beer. It's a beer. If he doesn't know, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, Owen's gonna hit him with the OGs. Max gonna hit him with the Four Peaks. You know, we got all different angles. I'm gonna say, hey, got the Game Time app. You know, you want some tickets? Use this code. We're gonna hit him with everything all at once. So, but yeah, make sure to put your questions on the. We're gonna post.
Yeah, we'll give him some cheap tickets for next season for Rising. But I'm already there.
There you go. There you go.
He's got a better seat than any of us.
That's true. That's the seat in the house. But yeah, make sure to. If you guys have questions for Juan Guerra, we're gonna tweet out the post right now in a few minutes on our Twitter account.
Oh, it's already out. It's already out, Ramon. Yeah, catch up. Keep up, old man.
We'll accept all questions. So yeah, are we gonna ask them? Probably, we'll see. But
nice.
It depends how bad they are.
Good disclaimer. Yeah,
so make sure to put them in there. All right, y'all. So yeah, really looking forward to that. We're going to the show, man. The A studio. That's gonna be a fun one.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we got some other news about the one of the teams here in Arizona, FC Tucson. They're going to be dropping down from USL League 1 to USL League 2. And a lot of controversy with this one on Twitter. I was checking the the quote tweets, because the quote tweets is where you really get all the information. A lot of people are not happy with that. So what are you guys feeling about this? I think this is a good kind of step back. I think they kind of see where they're at right now as far as the league, and they want to come back stronger. So it's not a step back to, you know, disappear forever like with some other teams, but I think it's a good, you know, decision on their part.
Well, here's the thing. You checked out the quote tweets. I checked out the replies. Who's ready to listen to the replies? I've got one for you here. Do you want to hear? This exactly what Phoenix Rising wanted to do with FC Tucson. One word, FC Tucson, by the way. When they bought the team, they didn't want Tucson to succeed. This blows. So, yeah, we go back to the... So just to paraphrase it, this is how I would put it here. Is it us? Are we the ones that can't sustain a professional team? No, it's Phoenix Rising's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Checks out.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I understand where this is going. I understand that, look, it is better to have a team in League Two than to not have a team.
Yep.
Okay? However, this is a big step down. This isn't like the teams that relegated themselves from the Championship down to League One. This is a big change because you are leaving the professional ranks behind. You are accepting that you are ultimately an amateur team and you play a much shorter season. Now, you do play them against much closer rivals, especially which League One has found a problem. And I think that's something we should probably touch on in a minute, but it's a big drop. It's a really, really big drop to go down from League One to League Two. And while, yes, they have retained the right to go back up to League One, if and when they are able to do so, we'll have to see, won't we?
Yeah, I'm kind of mixed about it, right? Like, to your point, it's better to have a team than not. I mean, I'm born and raised in Tucson, and I just know that there's a lot
clear
of...
him off the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've already known this, so joke's on you.
I know that. Well, Tucson,
Okay. Well, covers blown. Anyway, no, but like, even if they're, you know, not all teams are necessarily recruiting solely from their area, but I do know that Tucson is like it's a big market for League One. Like, that to me is like, that's kind of one of those where it's bigger than, I would say, some of the other comparative teams in League One. But also, if you look at just the geography and like the soccer culture in Tucson, I think a lot of people, like your neutrals or people that maybe aren't as familiar, are going to say, like, what soccer culture? And like, okay, I get that, it's fair, but like, there's a lot more than people think. And I think, especially when you pull from Tucson, when you pull from the other surrounding areas, when you pull even from opportunities like, you know, within Mexico and stuff like that, like, there's a lot of opportunity, and it is a like low key hotbed for athletes coming up, especially when they choose soccer. So like, it's just kind of a bummer that they're now going down a level, but I mean, I am happy that they're still within soccer, just an amateur level. Maybe it fits them and who they might want to go after better, but it's just always unfortunate, especially like, I don't know. I also saw, like, on you checking Twitter, I saw LinkedIn, I saw some people, you know, they are affected, which sucks. Like, you know, they definitely had some layoffs in the front office due to this. It's something that you, of course, can't control, and it's definitely something that's a byproduct of when these things happen. But it's just tough. It's something you never want to see go through. So my heart does go out to the people who, like, you know, that happens to them. But such is soccer, I guess. Yeah.
And you know what?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I will hop back in with the League One comment I was going to make. I feel as though League One in its single table format isn't long-term sustainable. I think that, or it is only if the league ends up becoming far more regionalized to teams that are much further east in the country. It's not something that's realistic for a team like Tucson to be traveling east as much as they are at the level that they're playing at.
Yeah. There's like around 12 teams, USL League One.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. It doesn't really make sense at that point too. But, and I think honestly, as a whole, maybe USL overall is going through a bit of transition. We know that there's some teams that are going to be transitioning to MLS Next Pro. There's a lot of bids being put out there in different cities. You know, so I think it's just kind of a bit of a reshuffling. And I'd rather have a team like FC Tucson say, you know what, right now we can't handle, you know, the budget, we can't handle what's going on with the players, so we're going to take a step back, we're going to see where we're at, and then, you know, they have that opportunity to jump back up once they're all settled, you know. And I'd rather see that than actually, you know, have a team go into bankruptcy or owe money and stuff like that. So I see that point of view as well. But, you know, losing a team like Tucson, FC Tucson would be pretty bad. You know, we're already kind of struggling in Arizona with teams. So I think losing someone like that, a team like that, would be pretty detrimental overall to the soccer culture overall in Arizona.
I'd also say if USL is looking at, and here's the thing, for further expansion, but also the talk of promotion and relegation, to me, if you're going to do it, the ideal way of doing it is the single table championship, which is smaller, but made up of teams which, quite frankly, on a financial basis, can make the commitment to be traveling further distances more frequently, with League One being a lot more regionalized. To me, that's the way to go around it, to have maybe the League One split into the East and West with just that single table championship, presuming you aren't going to absolutely, you know, hammer out a load more expansion clubs in League One to get it up to the point where it can be split far more easily into two different groups.
Yeah, for sure. I think that would just make sense. And I think we still have to realize that the US isn't a huge country, you know, so it's a lot. It's a financial burden for some teams to constantly travel back and forth. You know, I know how it is when I have to go to to the East Coast. So I just imagine how much money these teams have to spend on transportation and stuff like that. So, but we'll see. We'll keep you updated with what's going on with FC Tucson, and hopefully they're able to jump back to the USL League One. All right, y'all, kind of wraps up the show. But before we wrap it up tonight, I do want to talk to you guys about the Game Time app. If you guys haven't downloaded it yet, make sure to do so, especially with the new Sun season coming up, as well as ASU hockey. You got the Coyotes, you know, you got the Cardinals playing on Thursday. So if you want those last-minute tickets, make sure to download the Game Time app and use the code that's in our show notes, and that you can get up to 60% off with those tickets. So make sure to use that. It helps us whenever you use that code, and helps us, you know, get into the big studio. That's what we get. If you guys purchase tickets, we get to the big studio more often, and we can have more interviews. Just kidding, but it really helps us out. All right, y'all. Great show tonight. Went pretty quick. You know, I know. Wow. Today.
God. You never know with these, do you? Because it's like, you know, the season's over. We're like, oh God, what are we going to talk about? And yet we've just burned through an hour relatively easily. But look, we're going to be keeping on coming back. You can't get rid of us, guys. As much as you'd like to, you can't get rid of us. So we're keeping coming all off season.
Guys, and the World Cup is like what, almost like a month and a half, something like that away. So it's coming sooner than you think. So we're gonna have more content with that as well.
Yeah, but no, I mean, like we're not going away. Juan on Thursday. Next Wednesday, we got Four Peaks. Last Wednesday is going to be there at 5 p.m. Join us there, interact with us. Ramon said he's getting first round of beers for everyone. So,
and I believe you said you were getting the first round of beers.
Man. Yeah, no, no, dude, my mic cut out. Yeah, no, it's me getting those. Yeah, for sure. You know, darn producer
Things
Sean.
go well.
Mics. Yeah.
Depends.
What's that?
Check, you know, so
the other rumor here is that you could just, you know, bet it against each other based on who wins tomorrow, but if it's a draw, it remains with Max.
That is true. We could.
So if Spurs win tomorrow, Ramon has to buy them. If Man United are a draw, then Max still has to buy them.
No, if it's a draw, then Owen has to.
I'm not playing this. I didn't set this up. No.
No, guys, see, he's the instigator. He's like, yeah, go and deal with it. I'm just gonna hit.
I'm just dropping the bomb.
After Tottenham wins and Harry Kane scores his 2 non-penalties, I'll have plenty of money through our friends at DraftKings. So don't you worry, I'll take care of those beers for everyone.
It's 2 non-penalties.
2 penalties with anyway, or 2 goals without a penalty. But we'll
Harry Kane penalty merchants.
Let's end the show. Let's get out of here.
All right, let's get out of here, y'all. Bonnie,
Ramon. Scarf giveaway. When are you doing it? You still getting
this? Oh my gosh, this guy.
How long have you been going on with it?
No. You're doing it last Wednesday. Next week, that's when you're doing it. Fact. Yeah. Come to last Wednesday. Yes.
Nice to set it. There you go. Before we wrap up, Bonnie, feel better in the chat. Thank you for joining us late in the show. Hope you feel better. And yes, we will get rid of the scarf or give it away. I mean, all right, y'all. That wraps up our show for today. See, make sure to come back on Thursday again, live in studio with Juan Guerra. Make sure to drop your questions on Twitter for us, and we will be seeing you then. Take care. Bye-bye.